This is not about the wants. This is about what we need. We have a job to do as men. Our job is to love, to support, to appreciate, to make our wives feel seen, to feel heard, and to feel safe. Well, we have needs as well. And now that you know her needs, it's really important that she knows yours. And for those of you guys who are wondering, well, what are these needs about, right? Men need to feel, the second need, ladies, that we need from you is respect. I know that might be odd to hear that for some of you, but we desperately need that. We need respect from our wives. Why do we need respect? Because What's up, gentlemen? Welcome to the Dad Edge podcast. This is where we dive deep into the challenges, to the victories, and to the growth of what it takes to be the best man, husband, and father that we can possibly become. Today's episode is not something that necessarily we want to hear. It's something that we need to hear. And this is not just for husbands. This is also for our wives as well. I'm going to be breaking down 3 core needs that every man needs from his wife. And this is not about the wants. This is about what we need, right? So for those of you guys who are listening, last week I did a podcast all about what our wives need and how we can fulfill those needs. I encourage you guys to share this episode with your wife as well. I know last week I asked you guys, share this episode with your wife. Ask her if it's true. This week, I want you to share this episode with your wife because we have a job to do as men. Our job is to love, to support, to appreciate, to make our wives feel seen, to feel heard, and to feel safe. Well, we have needs as well. And now that you know her needs, it's really important that she knows yours. And if you agree with some of the things that I'm going to go over in today's show, I highly encourage you to absolutely send this her way. And for those of you guys who are wondering, well, what are these needs about, right? Men need to feel respected, appreciated, and we need physical affection, right? We need those things. And you have probably felt when your needs are being met, and you've definitely have felt them when they're not being met. Most of us can't articulate what those needs are or when it happens. We just know that when it's happening, we feel really, really great. And when it's not happening, we feel really lousy. But we can't necessarily articulate it all the time of what exactly is happening. So for this episode, it's really to give you guys some clarity, to give your wives some clarity, and to answer that question that our wives really, really need to know is like, what does he really need from me? I'm not really sure, right? Men and women are wired differently, period. We're different people. We're different creatures, and we have different needs. Where we get tripped up is women will fulfill the needs that, quite frankly, that they have, and they try to fulfill those needs through us by fulfilling those needs with us. We fulfill our needs through how we actively love our wives. So we try to be more respectful. We try to be more appreciative. We try to give them more physical affection because guess what? That's what we want, right? So when it comes to this is not about outdated stereotypes. I'm here to lay out as men what we are yearning for in our marriages. We are yearning for peace. We're yearning for respect. We are yearning for appreciation. And these are not wants. These are our needs. And this is what it would take to thrive in our relationships. So sit back, buckle up. You're going to love this one. All right. So need number 1, here's what it is. What do men need from their wives? It's quite simple because men are simple creatures. But here it is. The first one is this: be our calm and our peace, not our stress. Now, I'm not here to say that there isn't going to be stressful situations. There's not going to be arguments. There's going to be those things. However, we are wired as men to take on challenges all day long. And we're out there working, we're hunting, we're providing, we're navigating daily pressures. We're doing a lot of different things out there. And a man's home and his family, this is our sanctuary. This is actually where we come to decompress. It's actually where we feel pretty darn safe, right? It's kind of our castle. This is where we go to recharge. This is where we go to connect. This is where we show up even better for our families, right? If all possible. And we can do that on a much higher level if our home is a place of peace, right? And what does it look like? A place of peace is how you greet your man when he walks in the door. I know, trust me, I'm not here to battle, well, he should be greeting me too. Yes, your husband should be greeting you. But this show is all about what the wives can do to really move the needle for husbands that might not be on their radar. And ladies, what I can tell you is that when your man comes home, chances are he's had a buffet of things that have happened to him. He's had some wins, maybe. He's had a ton of challenges, most likely. And what he really wants is to come home to peace, to come home to people that are happy to see him, people that appreciate him, that love him, that respect him, right? And one of the easiest ways to do that is to greet him when he walks in the door. Now, I'm not talking about things like, oh, you have to have like balloons blown up and banners and this kind of thing. And everyone just stops everything that they're doing just to, appreciate that dad is home. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is when you see your husband, a small hug, a kiss, how was your day? It's good to see you. That's it. That's really, really it. It's that simple. A hug, a kiss. So good to see you. So glad you're home. That's it. That's all we really need. A greeting like that really sets the tone for a man. And what I can tell you is there's a transitional state between when a man comes home from work and when he enters into his house. What usually happens for us is we've been battling all day long, right? 90% of a man's day, ladies, what I'll tell you is you'll never hear about it. In fact, there's probably 10,000 things going on in the mind of your man that you will never know about. The battles he's facing, the things that he's thinking about. There's so much pressure on us. I'm not saying that pressure is not welcome. Us as men, like we feel pretty darn good, like going out, providing. We want to do those things. We want to go out, hunt, gather, all these different things. We want to go out and kill it for you guys. It's in our DNA. You take that away from a man and we don't really feel like we're bringing a whole lot of value to the table. So we like doing these things. And we also just like to be greeted when we come home. So after a really, really tough day, just a simple hug and a kiss. How was your day? So glad you're home. Really, that's it. It doesn't have to look like a cold beer and a hot meal just waiting for him. Just that like 10 seconds of love, affection, and welcome when he comes home. Another way to be his calm and his peace and not his stress is there's going to be conflict in marriages. There's going to be conflict in relationships, right? But when you guys, when wives, and I'm not saying men don't do this either, okay? But again, this show is all about what can wives do differently. But when you guys come at us with a ton of energy and conflict, almost like an attack, right? Versus like, how can we solve this, whatever it is that we are arguing over? How can we solve it together as a team, right? I'm not attacking you. I don't attack my team members. I come at you with, how can we solve this together? One of the things that my wife and I have done over the years, and we did a really poor job of this in the beginning, is we would take something that we were arguing over, maybe our finances, maybe it was our sex life. Those were two hot topics that we used to argue about all the time. And what we did was we allowed those situations and we allowed those topics to create a wedge between us. If it's me against you, what would it look like if it was us against whatever it was? So it's us against our finances. It's us actually coming together to figure out our finances together. Not it's me against you. I want this. You want that. It's like, hey, let's solve this together. Even when it comes to our sex life, it doesn't have to be me against you. It can be like, how do we solve this together? How do we create a situation where we both feel fantastic about the outcome? When we approach things like that as a team, and when you wives approach us as like, how can we solve this together? What I can tell you is that approach is received so well. Be his calm, be his peace, not his stress. I know that that is impossible to happen all the time. However, the more we can do those things, the better off we're going to be. The second need, ladies, that we need from you is respect. I know that might be odd to hear that for some of you, but we desperately need that. We need respect from our wives. Why do we need respect? Because it validates a man's role as the leader and a provider in the family. And it's not about necessarily a blind agreement or anything like that. It's about trusting our intentions and showing confidence in our decision-making, right? Not tearing us down, right? The other thing too is disrespect, even if it's unintentional, can feel like a rejection. It can also feel like we don't even contribute to the family. Almost like if we're disrespected, we actually feel like sometimes we shouldn't even be a part of the family. I know that sounds severe, and that's mostly a reaction. That's not necessarily a response or even our view. But when we're disrespected, even publicly in front of our kids, we're like, man, like, I don't even want to be in this room right now if I'm being disrespected. It's that hurtful to a man's heart to be disrespected. So what does it look like? What does it look like to respect a man? Number one, it's about believing in him. Show faith that you believe in this man's abilities. Be his biggest cheerleader. Be his biggest fan. Even when he makes mistakes, everyone is going to make mistakes. Acknowledge him for the effort, right? Acknowledge him for the effort of that he is trying and he is doing the best he possibly can. Another way to really respect a man is to acknowledge his wins. When something big happens, even if it's small victories, whatever it is, acknowledge those wins. If he secured a new customer in his business, celebrate those wins with him. If he got a promotion at work, celebrate those wins with him. If he showed more patience and grace in the face of adversity with the kids where he would normally maybe blow up, celebrate that with him. And like, you could say something like, hey, I really appreciate how you handled that with our son. That was really, really good. Any other situation like that, I think a lot of parents would have lost their cool. You did a really fantastic job there. Those types of things go such a long way. The other thing too, is it's not enough just to respect a man privately. Respecting him publicly is absolutely unbelievable. So it's one thing to speak positivity into us as men. It's another thing to speak positivity about us, in front of our kids or publicly. Ladies, what I can tell you is that puts us on cloud nine. If you really want to love a man, if you really want to love on a man, respect him privately and also respect him publicly. It goes so far. And just a couple action steps for this. Anytime you want to criticize a man, right? Because we know that if you're criticizing a man, he feels underappreciated. He's going to feel disrespected. A way to do this harmfully is like, why did you do that? What's wrong with you? Or why did you do that? That makes no sense to me, right? If we speak to our men like that, it's going to be devastating to us. Perhaps a way to approach a man is like, hey, I noticed that such and such happened. What do you think would be better next time if this came about, right? Let's just say we lost our cool on our kids, and instead of, your wife being, and I'm talking like, let's just say that there was, a lie that was said, and maybe we blew up, right? As men, yelled at our kid, punished them, maybe caused a little bit of a scene. We were more reactionary than what we thought. A way to approach is like, why did you do that? What the hell's wrong with you? Why would you speak to our kid like that? And I'm not talking about an abuse situation. I'm talking about like, if we just went a little bit outside the box and maybe we overreacted, right? Instead, you could say something like, hey, I noticed that when you said a few things to Ethan, I noticed it kind of hurt his feelings a little bit. What do you think would be the best way to either recover, or what do you think the next conversation should look like with him? Like, just approaching us like that goes so far. The other thing too is believing in our decisions. When you make a statement like, I trust that you'll make the right call for us, even if you're uncertain, that goes so far for us. When you are our biggest supporter, we feel like we can do anything. If you really want us to be able to do anything, be our biggest supporter, because that goes a long way. Also, verbalize respect and appreciation to your man. You can say something along the lines of, I see how hard you're working and I really appreciate it. Or I really appreciate how long and hard you work for our family just to provide, a roof over our head and food on the table. And that does not go unnoticed. Thank you so much for all you do. These little tiny compliments of appreciation and respect go so far for us. The third need that we need is intimacy. And ladies, what I can tell you is that it's not all about the physical. In fact, I'm going to break every stereotype that you can possibly think of, because all men want sex, right? That's all men think about is sex. Not true. What men really want is connection, believe it or not, right? Now, through physical intimacy, like that's one of the ways that we give love and we feel the most loved, right? And it's unfortunate that men are kind of put into this box of that's all we want. And if you really talk to men and you really peel back the onion layers of why men want intimacy, the physical part is just a bonus. It really is. It might be 5, maybe 2% of it at the most, right? Now, some guys, depending on their age, might disagree with that, be like, no, man, it's like 80%. But when you really boil down to it, a man just wants to be connected to his wife. He wants that physical connection. He needs that physical connection. He wants to be emotionally connected to you. He needs that as well. He wants to be connected to you mentally as well. Everything that's going on inside your head, he actually wants to be connected to that as well. But we do this through intimacy. And again, don't stereotype your man that all he wants is just the physical aspects of this. He expresses it through the physical aspect, but he gets all these other bonuses through it, which is the emotional connection to you, right? That time where he doesn't have to think about anything else on the planet except for how much he cares about you, how much he loves you, and how much he enjoys being with you. So intimacy is huge. Number one, let's talk about physical affection. This is a need. Yes, it does include sex, but it's not just sex. We want physical affection. Like, we want to hold hands with you guys. We want to put our arms around you. We want a hug from you. We want a kiss on the cheek from you. We want to kiss you. We want to do fun, flirtatious things like smack you on your rear end, and you can smack us back. And I know all women are not appreciative of that. My wife doesn't actually like that. So I don't do that. However, being fun and flirtatious, that's physical validation. Let's move on to something else, which is emotional validation. This is where men want to be desired. Men want to be wanted, right? The more you can express that you desire your husband, that you want your husband, right? And it could even be as simple as, I'm just really glad you're here with me. That to us is desire for us, that you desire for us to be around. Now, it can be obviously something sexual and intimate, like, I really want you right now. That really does move the needle for us big time as well. But sometimes it could be just as simple as like, it's really nice to be sitting next to you, or it's so nice just to be, sharing this time with you, whatever it is. The other thing too is just sharing intimate moments. It's not all about the bedroom, and it's not all about physical affection. We actually want to go on date nights with you guys. And I know sometimes we're not the best at necessarily scheduling them, but we want time with you. We don't want to just be mom and dad with you. We want to be husband and wife with you. So it's really important to a man, even if it doesn't seem like it sometimes, that we want these times with you, like date nights, like coffee time in the morning when it's quiet, when the kids aren't up, things like that are so important, that move the needle. Also, just some action steps when it comes to intimacy. Number one, make time for just connection every single day, minimum 15 minutes. It can even be 15 minutes before you go to bed. And it can be something as having a conversation as you hold hands. Another way to do this is to show intentional affection. And what I mean by that is surprise us with a note. You can actually knock down all two of these needs in a note by appreciation and respect. Just a love note saying like, thank you so much for all you do for us. We really, really appreciate it. Or thank you for loving our kids so much. Or thank you for spending so much time with the kids and just spending quality time with them, teaching them life lessons, all of these different things. Also, create an environment where your man wants to share things that are going on for him. And here's what I mean by that. Us as men, me included, we're not the best at sharing our emotions. I'm not. I really am not. However, my wife welcomes that. She wants to know it, right? And she creates this safe place. I don't know how else to say it. It's not the most manly thing in the world, like talking about safe places, but just bear with me. We want a safe environment for us to be able to share our thoughts and our emotions with you. So like, for instance, I had a client of mine recently who had a big blow up with his wife, and he was holding back some emotions, some things that he was feeling about the relationship. And it wasn't actually necessarily bad. He just wanted to share some things about the relationship, and his wife asked him to share. And as soon as he did, he got absolutely blasted. And again, this wasn't anything horrible, but she asked for the feedback. He gave it to her, and he did it in a very loving way. And she blasted him for it. And his response coming back to me for our session is, I'm never telling her anything again, because this last time that I did it, I got punished for it. So when your man is sharing something that he isn't usually sharing with you, or it might be something that you're like, wow, this is kind of outside the box. He doesn't usually talk about this kind of stuff. Create an environment where maybe it's a bit welcome, even if some of the things that he's saying you may or may not agree with, right? But at the same time, it's so important that we get these things out. It's really, really important. We can do that by creating an environment where your man feels really comfortable talking to you. If he shares something, he's not going to get blasted or punished with it. Now, let me add some context here. I'm talking about situations where your man is just expressing how he feels about something. Now, if he's verbally and emotionally attacking you, it's probably a different story. But I'm talking about like, hey, here's where I'm at with this topic. This is what I feel about it. This is what I think about it. And then if he gets blasted, the likelihood of him coming back and giving you any feedback after that is probably not very good. So creating this type of space for us is really, really important. All right, guys, so let's bring this home. We've unpacked the needs of a man, and obviously there's 3 of them, which is appreciation, respect, and physical affection. However, for this particular show, I know we covered some other things too, some other things you can be doing. So like, bringing peace, to his stressful life is one of them, right? That's a way a man truly, truly appreciates that. Bringing appreciation and respect to him. And then finally, intimacy. And again, it doesn't have to be all physical intimacy. This is all kinds of different intimacy, if you know what I mean. So it's emotional intimacy, it's connection intimacy, it's the physical, it's the mental, it's everything. It's sharing time together. It's the date nights. It's the conversations. It's all of those different things that are so important. If you're listening to this and say, man, I need to share this with my wife, I highly encourage you to do it. We're not pointing fingers or anything like that, but this is an opportunity for your wife to maybe hear from a third party of what's on your heart. And maybe it's allowing me to speak for you a little bit, because sometimes these things are scary to bring up in relationships because some relationships are a bit fragile, and some are more fragile than others. And for you wives, if you decide to tune into this, thank you for caring enough to listen to this all the way to the end. The fact that you're here and you're listening to this speaks volumes of how important your marriage is to your man. And that's really, really important, obviously, not just for our own relationships, but for the success of the relationships our kids are going to have, growing up. These things are insanely important. And for you guys out there, if you guys are interested in what we do in the Alliance, this is a perfect opportunity, because we talk about these things all day long of how we can communicate these things to our wives better, and how we can become better communicators for our wives, how we can create better conversations, more intimacy, more love. That way we have a happier household, we have happier kids, we have healthier kids. I truly believe that it's our job and it's our duty to make sure that our kids are equipped with relationship skills like this. Even if our kids knew that our wives, that their girlfriends, right, for the boys out there, need to feel seen, heard, and safe. And for the daughters out there, that respect, appreciation, physical affection is important to a man. We're already stacking the odds in the favor of a successful relationship, because most couples have no clue that those are the needs of the other person. So if this was helpful for you, like I said, we talk about this all the time in the Alliance. We teach this in the Alliance. Head on over to thedadedge.com/mastermind if you guys want more information on that. I'm going to have all the links in the show notes for you guys. All you have to do is head on over to thedadedge.com/Friday 192 for this show. Again, thedadedge.com/Friday 192 for this show. Gentlemen and ladies, go out, live legendary. Take care.